I'm super excited to talk with BonnieJill Laflin today. She is a woman whose resume gets better and better with each line that you go through. And not only is she a model, a TV personality, NFL cheerleader, and sportscaster, but probably the most notable of all of her successes is that she is the first and only female scout for the NBA. So BonnieJill, I don't want to steal any more of your thunder, but if you could kind of tell us a little bit about yourself to get things rolling today.
I think you kind of covered it all, Allie. Yeah, I started off, obviously, and as a little girl, I started off as a ballerina, riding horses, and that was kind of like everything, my dancing, and then horses, and then ended up going and really pursuing that. So I graduated from University of Texas and got my broadcast journalism degree there, and went on to, I should say, in between that, I was cheering for the Golden State Warriors, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Dallas Cowboys. Then got my degree, and then started right away working for ESPN for their morning show, and went across the board, NFL Network, CBS, different places, and then was able to get lucky enough to be a scout for the Lakers. And I was, spoken to about this because I was covering the Lakers at the time. And the GM and the owner, the late Dr. Jerry Buss, was like, "Hey, we really want to try a female out. You seem to really have a good eye for talent, and you know the triangle offense. Not too many girls can break down a triangle offense, and so forth." So I scouted for a year, and I did not get paid. So that was a way for me to, like, prove myself. So I didn't get paid for the entire year. My scouting reports kind of, were proven, and they said, "Wow, these are really elaborate." They signed me to a 5-year deal, and then a 5-year deal after that. And I was lucky enough to walk away with 5 championship rings with the Lakers. And I left after 12, 13 years, right in the middle of that when Phil Jackson left. And then was able to get back into my sports reporting and sportscasting. And all during that time, I've owned horses. My parents owned race horses before I was even born. So that was horses have always been the part of my life. And now, which has been great, I should say, about the pandemic, is I've been able actually to get back into actually riding and competing and barrel racing again. I haven't barrel raced since I was little, and now I'm able to actually pursue that and have this great little mare that been she's green, so still getting through all that kind of, as the trials and tribulations of a new mare, going through the pattern and getting that. And we've gone through, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, but she's getting there. So it's kind of fun to be able to kind of work at something that's kind of out of the box. Like, I'm so comfortable when it's dealing with sports and talking sports, and now I'm kind of having to be challenged and be like, okay, I gotta try to, you know what I mean, like, really not be comfortable anymore, and be able to be like, "Oh my gosh, like, I suck, like, I need to get better at this," and working together with this team, me and my horse. And so it's been good, because I don't think you should ever get comfortable. You should always kind of feel that you want to get outside of your comfort, because it makes you grow, as a person, not only as, me, running the barrels, but it makes you grow as a person, because you're challenged and you work hard, and you're like, how can I figure this out? How come I'm so successful here? What do I need to do here? And so that's been really fun. That during the pandemic, I've been able to do that. And so much that I left the city, and I've moved actually back on the horse ranch. And so I'm like, 20 feet from, my horses. So that's been, one of the blessings in disguise during this whole COVID.
And I think that's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I think COVID has obviously had a lot of negative side effects, but I think there's been a lot of positive that have kind of come from it as
Right.
well, from people just kind of being able to kind of reconnect with themselves, reconnect with
Yeah.
their passions, and kind of do things in that way.
Yeah, because Al, if it wasn't for the fact of that, I probably would not gone back to the barrel racing. You know what I mean? It's because you do, like, I don't care, like, anything you do, you can't just do it half-ass. You've got to, like, really do it, put your mind to it. And with me working so much, for me, doing the morning show, then going real quick to go work out, then heading to the studio and doing sports updates, to then going to the games, Niners, Giants, and Warriors games, and doing all that. I mean, there's not really time to be, like, working on,
Right.
an actual, like, a sport that you haven't done since you were a little girl. right?
Right.
So it's been great that I've like, okay, I can work from home and I can talk to people through Zoom like we're doing, and then be
Mhm.
able to go and work with my trainers here at the Holman Performance Horse Ranch, Brentwood, as
Mhm.
you're from this area. So it's been kind of nice that like, wow, I don't know if I would have done, been able to do this, commit to this. I've always will ride horses and own horses, but I don't think I'd be competing. I
Exactly.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
No way. There's no way I wouldn't have had time.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. I mean, that's kind of how Ag Chick started for me was I had always kind of had this passion of wanting to get back to my agriculture roots and the Western
Right.
style and all of that. And then I literally almost a year ago this week, I was sent home from my office. And so it kind of all grew from there and has really been a blessing in disguise, like you kind of mentioned, because it's allowed me to connect with so many incredible women across so many walks of life.
Right. And it also, I think people are doing things like you said that normally they've always said, you have like a checklist.
Mhm.
Okay, I want to be able to do this at some point, and you never get to that, right?
Yeah.
Or I want to focus on this. Or when you do your vision boards, you're like, oh, I want to do this or do that. And it's like you can only do so much, right? But
Exactly.
now it's, that's the one thing that you're like, okay, you know what? This time that we're going through is really uncomfortable and we're, so unfamiliar. But now you're like, okay, whether it's like us, you're doing your podcast and be able to, do that, or me doing my barrel racing, or people being able even to spend time with their children, or
Mhm.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's there. You have to find the positives in this because there's so much negative. But if you can find those small little positives to take from it, and maybe when this pandemic is over, you still try to make sure, okay, make sure, like for me, make sure I have balance. Like I've always been career, married to my career, where now I'm like, okay, spending time to like, with my boyfriend, which, he's like, yeah, could you spend time with me? And then, and then, being able to like, really push, what I'm doing with the horses. But it's funny how that makes something like this kind of makes your thought process change a little bit.
Right. Well, I think it kind of makes you realize what's important and kind of figure things out. Like you said, balance.
Yeah, and a lot of us don't have that. Any of us who are really career driven, you don't have balance. It's just like
Mhm.
go, 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 and it's work, 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 and that's all you know. And for me, it was really tough, Alec, because I'm like, I'm not used to staying home. I'm used to being on a plane once a week. I'm used to, being at every game, and so all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm like stuck in my house. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do? I'm used to working out and not working out outside, like get in the gym, and you
Right.
couldn't do that. So it was kind of like a wow. And I, I'll be honest, I went through like this little depression of like, how
Mhm.
do I like
How do I
what
live?
I don't know what this is,
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, stress. How do I like figure this all out? And I think being able to be outside and be with my horses, because they're kind of told, you're told stay inside. You can't stay inside. You've got to get outside as a human. Like you've got to smell fresh air. And like for us girls who are, used to being outside, and you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that helps. I think that really helps like your mental stability, if you want to be honest, for you to
Oh,
like be able to, you know what I mean, like get
100%.
out there. 'Cause if you're stuck inside and you're scared to go out or you want to do anything, like you're gonna go like stir crazy, cabin fever, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's if it wasn't for, I say this, if it wasn't for my horses and be able to be out, I probably would have, kind of spiraled into like deep depression.
And I'm so glad that you said that because mental health is something obviously that even if you don't think that you're impacted by it, you are impacted by it because everybody has feelings and emotions and everything. And I think that when you do have animals, it puts you, it's like almost therapeutic to be with them and be
Oh
outside with
my
them.
God.
And I 100% think that has helped me through all of this as well.
Absolutely. I always say animals are so therapeutic. I don't care if you have, full blown, PTS or TBI or anything like that, but just having, you know what I mean? Like us, like going through these ups and, the ebbs and
Ebbs
flows of
and
the
flows.
pandemic
Right.
is like having a dog wagging his tail when you come home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? If you're stressed out, like you're like, oh, things aren't that bad. Like he's wagging his tail and he's so happy to see me that I just walked
Right.
through the door, even though I just went to go put the trash out, but he thought I was gone. And now he's excited that I'm back in, right? Or
Right.
like gonna go see your horse and like, just the minute I walk around the corner and she hears my spurs, she starts whinnying. You know what I mean? Like things like that. It kind of just like it just, I don't know, it just puts things in perspective, like how animals are, for me, they're like, if I didn't have animals, I probably would just I don't know, like again, like the depression, like you really, I don't know how like anyone cannot have like an animal in their house. I'll just be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
People who don't like animals, sometimes I'm concerned for them, right?
Oh my gosh, I am concerned for them. Like I'm like, I don't know if I can be friends with someone who doesn't like animals. Like if you don't like animals and children, like that's a big red flag. I mean,
Yeah,
it usually is, right?
right,
It's kind of like, and if so, yeah, and for me, it's like I have this nonprofit, Hounds and Heroes, and we rescue dogs, and then we pair them up with wounded warriors, and seeing the transformation of these guys who've been over war and combat veterans, and seeing what these dogs do for them to be able to get back to normalcy. Normalcy for them is like going grocery shopping, where like you and I, that's nothing. That's an easy task. For them, it's a lot. They keep hearing bombs in their head and different things and night terrors, and these dogs completely change them. So if that can happen for them, imagine the little ways that dogs, help us. And the same thing with horses. Like I rescue horses from slaughter, and then we do these wounded warrior retreats with equine therapy. Same thing. So animals do a lot for us, especially with our mental health.
right. And I kind of want to get into that with not getting, I guess, too into it. I don't know how to maybe
Yeah,
word this, but you obviously being a woman in the career field that you were in, I'm sure were under fire quite a lot as far as, just people questioning you and that kind of thing.
right,
As far as agriculture and animal agriculture goes, also kind of the same fire and
right.
criticism as well. How can you and how have you seen maybe that kind of relation and connection kind of between all of it?
Well, it's true. If you look at it, a lot of these industries are male driven,
Mhm.
male dominated. So it's, what, we're in 2021 and women are still trying to like find their way, or do I fit in, or am I allowed to be in
Right.
this space? And I think it's, pretty clear now that women, I don't care what field it is, they can conquer it and dominate. Right. And that's, just like with ag or in sports, or it's becoming like, oh wow, women are in this space and wow, they're damn good at it, and it's men who, I mean, a lot of men, let's be honest, they'll fine, they'll embrace it, but there are the old school mentality, of guys who are the good old boys who are like, no, we don't want women here. And your job is, I hate to say it, in the kitchen, raising kids, whatever, right? And so it's funny how that's kind of like changed now. And a lot of men who are secure with themselves, I'll add that, if they're secure with themselves, they're fine with having a woman just being as powerful as them. And if you've got this wife and husband team, you got this power couple, and what's wrong
Right.
with that? That's
Exactly.
amazing. So I think it has to do with the men being able to let their guard down and understand. And also, let's be honest, it's like an insecurity thing. If a man doesn't want a woman there, what's the problem? And not to get to like, woman rights or whatever,
Right.
but just, because I'm not a feminist in any means, but just, just the fact that women should be, be able to be, in anything that the little girl dreams of wanting to be, they should be able to achieve that and go for that if they want.
Right. And I'm so glad you said I'm not a feminist because I think that
I'm not.
gets confused a lot of times when people
Yeah.
are women empowerment and that kind of this movement that's happening. They automatically think, oh, she's a feminist. And that
Yeah.
personally, I am not a feminist either. So
Yeah.
could you maybe explain that a little bit, at least from a kind of like your point of view on things?
Yeah, it's true. Because, the feminists, I'll put it this way, Ali. I've had feminists tell me, yeah, I don't think it was right that you were a cheerleader, that you were a model on point, and that you were in bikini and you were this, whatever they want to say. They want to use these words, scantily clad or ever. It's like, okay, do you wear a bikini when you go to the beach? Yeah. So what's the difference of me that I pose in a magazine for it? My thing about feminists that I believe is different is the way I believe in women is you have the right to do whatever you want to do. You're not told like, oh, if a woman wants to be, I mean, I hate to say it, if she wants to go and be a model, if she wants to be a stripper, like I know I'm being kind of extreme here, let her do it. She didn't kill anyone. I could care less what they do. You know what I mean? Women
Right.
should have the right to do what they want. As long as they're in control of it, obviously, they should be able to have the right to do whatever they want. Am I right?
Yep.
Whatever they
Absolutely.
and not be judged for it. That's my thing. Where I feel like feminists, they seem to be very judgy on women who, do something different than they would like them to do, and so that's the thing that I kind of have a problem with, because I just think women should have the choices to do whatever they want to do. Like, maybe it's not the choice I would do, but I'm not going to judge them. Go
Right.
girl, do whatever you want to do. And if it makes you happy and you're embracing and rocking it, do it.
Right. And where do you kind of get that fire and fuel to kind of blaze your own trail through things?
I think it's just how I don't know. I think it's kind of sometimes like in your DNA. I was a little girl. I always just kind of wanted to conquer the world. And wanted to do so much and always was kind of instilled by my parents though about you only live once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we only live once. You know, no one's promised tomorrow. I don't care how rich you are, who you are, no one's promised tomorrow. So don't sit there and have regrets when you're older. I have so many friends who they have regrets and they, you know, maybe they had you know, a child young, they had kids young, got married young, and then they think their life's over. No, just because you're married and have kids doesn't mean your life's over. You can still go for different dreams, and yes, you have to manage schedules and so forth, but it's possible, and if you're very willing and able to do it, then do it. Because I just think people put these all these different labels on, you know, or if you're a mother who is also pursuing their career, oh, they don't care about their family. Yes, they do. They can do, you can do it all. And if anyone knows, women are the best at multitasking. Men, you have them do 2 or 3 things and their head's going to blow off, right? But women can do all that, and they do it well, and they, you know, they manage their time well. So I just hate when they put labels on women that they can't do this or they can't do that, or be, you know, and I see my friends from high school who are like, oh, I still want to like do this, or I want to go back to school and go to college, or I want to like dive into this hobby. Do it. Why not?
And
Right?
I think sometimes excuses are the only thing that's really stopping you from doing whatever you want to do.
Right. And they say age. Oh, I'm older now. I can't lose this weight. Yes, you can. There's women in their 50s and 60s who are dropping 100 pounds. You know what I mean? Because they're dedicated to this. You just have to have discipline. Some people don't want to have discipline, but as long as you have discipline and a vision, you know, and you can do it for 30 days. If you can get past that 30 days, you're golden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you mentioned kind of it, all of that being tied to the way you were raised and all of that.
Mhm.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Kind of how you grew up, where you grew up, and all that?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bay Area, like really close to where I'm at now in Brentwood. My parents, my dad was a police officer in SF, so San Francisco, so SFPD, 47 years, undercover narcotics. So my rest of my family, they're all military. So even on my mom's side and my dad's side, my mom, she was a model and then she stopped when she had me. So I had kind of two different, you know, my mom and dad they're still together today, but I kind of had the two different kind of upbringings, you know, but it was still very, you know, very strict type
Mm-hmm.
of upbringing. When you have law enforcement and military and we're Catholic and you put that all together, it was
Yep.
pretty, you know, I was raised pretty strict, you know, couldn't have boyfriends. I was always about getting good grades. By getting good grades, I was able to do all my different, you know, activities, and very focused as a little girl, you know, like I said, you know, dancing and ballerina and my horses and all that. So that was, I was kind of a different little girl. I didn't really care about as much as like playing outside. And it was more about, I wanted to, I don't know, I was always like looking at like, you know, what I wanted to do in my life. And even as a little girl, I knew I had to like pave that way already young, to achieve what I wanted. It's kind of like not normal. Like I would sit there and look through the newspaper and, you know, ask my dad about these athletes and, you know, what college they went to and how fast they run the 40, dad, and this and this. And my dad's like, why is this little girl asking me questions? She's supposed to be asking for popcorn, little foam finger and
Right.
stuff. And I don't know, I was just kind of different. I guess I was, a little bit mature for my age, I guess, at the time, you know, which is funny because now I feel like I'm very immature at times. But it was funny, like I just was kind of, you know, different with that. But my parents were just very good about really supporting me, and realizing what I wanted. But at the same time, you know, saying, you know, don't have regrets. If you want to do it, do it. And at the same time, also very much so about giving back. Like my parents were very, very much into charity and giving back, to others who are less fortunate. So that was, you know, kind of and still stuck with me today.
Yeah. And so the funny thing, kind of, and digressing, I guess, from a bit from our conversation, but the funny thing about how I found you was I had spoken with the girls from Lacy Boots,
Oh,
and
I love them.
they shared the picture that you had.
Yeah.
And so I happened to read the caption and I was like, wow, she sounds like an incredible woman. So I then went to your page and then started scrolling, and you had a picture at St. Anne's Church. And I instantly recognized the picture and the
That's
location.
right.
And I
That's
was like,
right.
oh my God, that's my home church, like from where I grew up. And so then I like
That's
check
so
and it's like
funny.
Brentwood, like who knows where Brentwood, California is. So kind of funny how that all
That is funny.
Like,
Yeah,
wow.
because I'm used to being at my church in Los Angeles or since I've been in California and then the one in San Francisco. And then I was looking for a Catholic church and I'm like, oh, there's one right down the street. And so, obviously for Ash Wednesday, it's a big holiday for Catholics. So I'm like, I got to get my ashes. And so I was able to go down there and then I posted it because such a cute little quaint little church. And I
Yeah.
love churches that are like small and the parishioners all know each other, and
Mhm.
so I love that, and it's right there in the country, so
Right.
it was like so me. So and that's funny when you said, "Wait, that's my church,"
Yeah.
And Brentwood, it's so funny because in LA there's a Brentwood, and so
Right.
everyone thinks that when you say Brentwood that it's Los Angeles, which Brentwood is actually just an area in Los Angeles. It's actually Los Angeles proper, but Brentwood is actually a city here in Northern
Mhm.
California. But it's funny, whenever I put Brentwood, my friends in LA are like, "Oh, are you in town?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah. We
I'm
always
not in
say
town."
we always say Brentwood, but not OJ's Brentwood is how we used to say
Right, and
it.
that's so funny. And everyone knows Brentwood because of OJ,
Yeah.
which that's hilarious. That's just so true.
And then you have Texas roots as well, which is funny because now I'm obviously in Texas. So it's just kind of a funny world, right? How it all.
Yeah, and I miss it because so I spent my summers in Texas and then Northern California. So I would go back and forth. I have a lot of family in Texas, and then obviously I moved there to go full time to go to college, and then cheering for the Cowboys. And I actually still have a house there that I rent out, but I have to get back to Texas. At the end of the day, like my morals, my beliefs, everything is aligned with Texas. Need I say more? So I just need to get back to how do I say like-minded people
Mhm.
and get back to things I believe in, God, country, and that's why I need to get back there sooner than later.
Right. Yes. That is one thing. I miss California with my family, and I do miss the weather, but
The weather, of course, right? I mean,
but
that's all.
I have found my place in Texas. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just there's something about Texas, like once you go there, you don't want to leave. I left just because like my career, but it's just a great Texas is a great, proud state, and the people there are good people. When they ask you how are you doing, they're not a guy's maybe not necessarily even trying to hit on you. He's
Right.
asking because they just got that Southern
Genuinely
hospitality, and
care.
and men open doors like they're actual gentlemen. Here in California, they'll slam the door right in your face.
Yeah.
So I really miss like that Southern hospitality and those really welcoming like people, that's, what I mean? Like everyone's like friendly and it's refreshing when you
Yes,
go back and
absolutely. That was
feel
the
that, right?
first thing when I got here. I was so like kind of off put when people were genuinely nice because I was like, "What do you want? Like, what do you what
See?
are you trying to get?"
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Allie, in California, when someone's super nice, I'm like, okay, what do
Yeah.
you want? And
Yeah.
there's something next coming. You're gonna
Mhm.
ask for something. Where in Texas, they ask you how you're doing because they really genuinely want to know how are you doing.
Yes, absolutely. I love the good Southern hospitality, like you said, for sure.
Right.
But you have such a cool platform in the fact that you're kind of able to bring attention to all of these things that you are passionate about and have a unique perspective on. So, how have you kind of used that to your advantage and kind of maybe have some challenges along with that too?
I think I think all of us, I don't care, whether you're in the public eye or not, everyone now, because the social media has a platform. How you want to use that platform is up to you. I like to use it in a more positive way. Like some people, as you know, are on Twitter and all they want to do is argue all day, or they can go on Instagram and they just want to find people's posts that they can like, comment on so they can be negative. Like I feel like, that the social media there's more negativity, I hate to say it, than
Right.
positivity, where I wish people could use it for good, and I'm not saying like your life's always great. Like, yes, of course, a lot of social media as the highlights of our life, right? But it's okay to talk about difficult things. Like we were talking about mental health or different things that you're going through. I like to use it as, just more of just showing like that women can, achieve what they want, talking about rescue dogs and horses and, push out my support for the military and law enforcement, whether, you agree with me or not. I get people because my dad's, was a cop, during this whole social unrest, how people feel that all cops are bad. And I will, I don't like to argue or be combative with people, but at the same time, I'm going to stand my ground and stand up for what I believe in. So, or the military, like the military means everything. I've done almost 20 USO tours, visiting our troops, during the war to Afghanistan and Iraq, and, formed my whole charity because of veterans and visiting veterans in the hospital. And so, when we talk about, the flag, or we talk about, military, that's very, very important to me. And I don't want to shy away from that because I'm going to offend someone. I'm not going to be offensive in my words, but I'm going to let you know where I stand.
And I think that's important in today's society where there's this like era of people not wanting to say what's on their mind because they're afraid that they're going to offend somebody, where it's kind of, I don't know, for somebody who is strong opinioned and wants to have their voice shared and out there, it's a tough situation to be in. But I think it's important, like you just said, to kind of speak your mind and stand up for what you believe in.
Right. And again, I always say, choose your words, wisely. You got to
Mhm.
be careful. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, of course. Right. So
Right.
your words can be, misinterpreted, and you'll get, I don't care what you say. You can say the sky is blue. Someone's going to say, no, it's not. So you have to be able to understand that you're going to get that. That's why a lot of people keep their accounts private. And I get it, because they want it to be that everyone who follows them, they know, who they are. With you and, me and stuff, you keep your page open so you can bring in other people and people from all walks of life. You just have to know that you have to have that thick skin, and you kind of have to laugh it off. I don't even, the minute someone says something rude, there was times where I'd be like, oh, bah, and you want to like go off. Now I just block them. I'm like, I don't even, like, I'm not even going to like waste my energy on them, because they took the time, to be mean. God bless them. I always say, sometimes I'll even say, I'll pray for you. So it's just, people are gonna, be like that. But I try to use it for positivity and try to, from, like I said, like pushing out my charity work to just trying to like girl power. There's, and I kind of just tell people, if you don't like sports, you don't like animals, and you don't like military, then don't follow me. Right? It's pretty
Right.
easy.
Right. And that's the thing, is you can easily see what people are kind of about by just a quick scroll through.
Oh,
So it's kind of
absolutely.
funny when people stick around when they don't like what you're posting, like, just unfollow me.
Yes, if you don't like certain things, yeah. I mean, because you're so right, Allie. You can look at someone's page, and I know it's bad, but you can instantly tell what this person's all about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad. That's why I say, be careful of what you put out there on social media, because maybe it's not you, but if every picture is a selfie of yourself or a picture of you in your bathroom showing yourself, you are going to look like a narcissist. I don't care what anyone says. You are, and maybe you aren't that person. Maybe but and that's fine, as long as you're okay with being able to take the criticism that goes along with that, is what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Yep.
So you have to be careful. I try to keep my social media pretty balanced too. Like, you can do, your personal life a little bit with your friends and your animals, and dive into like your career and what makes you happy. And I think just doing like one thing is fine if that's what your page is labeled at. But if it's just your name, you probably should kind of show all the layers of yourself.
Well, and I think too that kind of adds to credibility sometimes too, is when you can be relatable.
Right, exactly. And like I said, you like, everyone kind of does the whole highlight of their life. That's so great, where you can say like, this is, the good and the bad. And, you can put in your stories about like, I'll post in stories about people who are dealing with depression or suicide. Like, here's hotlines, here's this and that. It's okay to like say that. It's okay to say you're going through this. It's okay to check in on people and see how they're doing during this time, so to kind of, keep it still relative of like, this pandemic.
Right. Yep. Switching gears just slightly here before we kind of run out of time, what is maybe like the biggest piece of advice you would give a young woman kind of trying to make it big or emerge into a new career?
I mean, I think a lot of it is having, be true to yourself. That's the biggest thing I tell people. Like, if you want to be for example, a sportscaster, like, don't try to be Aaron Andrews. You can take different pieces of people that you look up to and you like, but then make it your own. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yep.
So, whatever you're trying to be, like, just be true to yourself. Like, you got to be knowledgeable in whatever the craft you're doing. You've got to put the work in. Work ethic is everything. Networking is everything. Meeting people. Like, there is a saying that people will get you in the door. I'm not saying they're going to get you the job, but they'll get you in the door. So networking to me is everything. Relationships like that, and building those relationships are huge. But again, like, once you're there and you get that job, don't try to be phony and be someone else. Be true to yourself, because that's the reason why they took you on, or that's why the people hired you. And if they don't like you, don't try to change. Someone else will say yes.
Yeah.
You're going to get a ton of no's until you get a yes, but that's fine. But don't try to transform into someone else. Of course you grow, but don't try to be, oh, I got to act like this. I got to wear glasses. I got to do a turtleneck. I got to, whatever you think you need to do to fit in. Like for me, when I was scouting, Allie, like I was wearing baggy sweats and put my hair up in a baseball cap and was trying to like act like I was a guy, and one of the other coaches like, what are you doing? Why are you walking like that? Why are you wearing that? And I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to fit in because I'm the only female. And they're like, no, just be you. Yeah. And that's like the biggest thing I try to tell people: be you, be comfortable in you, be like, embrace your, things that you don't like about yourself. Like, people always try to say, oh, I don't like this about me. No, we're all built to be different and unique is huge, I think. So.
Well, and especially in kind of a world where there's kind of this whole like copycat syndrome too, where
everyone looks like Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
Like, no, why do you all want to look like her? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's weird. I think it's kind of crazy scary, to be honest with you. Like brainwashing, like I love when you see girls who've got the freckles, they didn't cover them with makeup, or like the little gap in their teeth, or like, I don't know, that's just me. I think you should really embrace like your flaws, if you want to call them flaws, and be happy with that, because all that makes you. Why, that's so
makes you unique and individual, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I could not agree more with that whole statement. I'm right there with you. But okay, we're gonna move into the rapid fire portion of the show. So let me see here. Okay, the first question is, what was your first vehicle?
My first vehicle, oh my gosh, it was a big Ford F-150 beat up truck. Because my dad thought that I was gonna like run into things and stuff. So
that's hilarious. I also am a Ford
F-150 truck. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I think about that. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, what's your favorite day of the week?
Gosh, before the pandemic or during? Because they all seem like the same day.
What month are we in?
I know. I mean, it used to be that, I used to love like Saturdays, because it wasn't Friday, wasn't a work day, and then Sundays you're getting ready for Monday. So I always love Saturdays. But now they all seem to be the same day.
And then the last question is, what is something on your bucket list?
Gosh, on my bucket list. I mean, after this pandemic, I would love to like start traveling again. That's the big thing, is just getting back out and traveling, whether it's for work or just taking a vacation. I mean, wouldn't it be nice, Allie, just to be able to go to like, I know people are like going to Mexico, Hawaii, but I think it'd be so great to actually, go to Europe or go somewhere and do something. One place that I do say that I want to go to that I have not been, which is so crazy, is I've never been to Yellowstone. And I'm sure you have, but I've never been there during winter or summer. And I'm so obsessed with the show that I'm like, I need to get there. And it's so beautiful and people are always posting stuff. So I really need to get to, so that's probably my biggest bucket list place where I want to go, is to the Yellowstone, Wyoming, Montana area.
Yeah, well, I have been. My dad's father lived in Idaho for a while, so we did a big trip up there and stuff. So I definitely recommend. And then yeah, I am obsessed with Yellowstone as well. So
oh my gosh, yes. And so I watched that and I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, I've been to Idaho, been to South Dakota, but I haven't been to that plains area of Montana, Wyoming, Jackson Hole, like all that. And I'm like, okay, I really need to go. And I know maybe winter's not the best time, except Jackson Hole, to go skiing, but it just, that whole area is just so beautiful, and all that land, and just, I don't know, like I need to go out there ASAP.
Yes, you definitely do. That's a good bucket list thing though to do. It's a good one.
Yeah, right.
So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I have loved chatting with you and getting to know you. And I'm sure that there is going to be many people from different walks of life that can kind of connect to what we've chatted about today. So thank you. I appreciate that.
It was so fun too. It's always kind of fun when you talk to another female who's, killing it and, understands kind of all the different things that we go through.
Absolutely. And last thing here is, where can people connect with you if they are wanting to stay in the know?
Yeah, so definitely you can go to my Instagram, which is @BonnieJill. And the same thing with my Facebook. And then my charity is Hounds and Heroes. So I encourage people to check that out. And at Hounds and Heroes on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And see all the good work we're doing, veterans and these rescue dogs that we're pairing up with these wounded warriors.
Yeah, such a cool project. Make sure to check that out if you are listening or watching this, and I will link everything in the caption and description box, just like always. So, Bonnie, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope the rest of your day is great.
Thank you. Let's keep in touch.